Okay. All right. This is gonna be a demonstration for doing your colored pencil techniques worksheet. So, okay, pretty much we're just gonna be working on this worksheet for the next two class periods. So basic purpose of the worksheet though was just to have a little bit of practice experimentation with colored pencils. I'm sure most of you guys have probably used colored pencils before, but I did want to kind of go over like certain techniques you can use the colored pencils with, and some of the techniques you may have learned in your other art classes. I'm going to teach you a variety of techniques such as hatching, cross hatching, stippling, layering, blending, and shading, and just playing around like different varying levels or pressures with your colored pencils. In some shape or form, though, you'll probably end up using like one, two, or three of these techniques when you do your final landscape drawing. Okay, just because most of your, if not all of your drawing is going to require you to use the colored pencils. In order to make the landscape stand out and look nice, you have to understand like these different techniques. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of go over these, different sections one at a time, and then, you know, and then you'll just kind of follow along, and then, just we're do what I'm doing basically. Okay, so let me just zoom in on, certain parts here, so it's a little easier to see. Okay, so varying pressures. Okay, so this one's pretty simple to do. You have your colored pencils to choose from. So this one you can just kind of basically choose any colored pencils that you want. Okay, so there are a lot of different versions of like blues, greens, yellows. So just kind of pick out one that works for you. There's really not any specific colors you need to use. But just a couple of things that I did want to show you guys. Before you get started. So at your tables, you have your container of the colored pencils. And the containers are the sharpener, and then there's some tapers on that table. So if you need to sharpen your pencils, though, use this sharpener. Okay, don't use the electronic one on the front, otherwise the entire pencil is gonna get eaten up from the electrical sharpener. So you want to use like these sharpeners. Okay, so when you're sharpening the pencil, though, like this one's pretty fine. Let me find one that's a little bit used up already. This one's kind of used up. Okay. Now, when you sharpen it, though, just take your time, sharpen it. You can just sharpen it on top of the white paper that I left on the table, so that way you don't have to make multiple trips to the trash can. And I know most of you guys know how to use a sharpener though, but just one thing to kind of keep in mind of with the colored pencils though is you're not gonna get like that super super sharp fine tip, for your colored pencils. Okay, so if it's not like super sharp like this, it's got like a little bit of a bump to it. It's okay though, because you don't really need that sharp tip when you're coloring. The lead compared to like a regular pencil though, this is a little bit more sensitive, so you may notice it's easier to break when you over sharpen the colored pencils. Okay, just so you don't waste these colored pencils, because these are Prismacolor colored pencils. I mean, these are like really high quality colored pencils. Just don't go too crazy with like the sharpener. Just sharpen it enough, and then if it's enough space you can color. I'll just stop from there. But you saw like how I sharpened like very little of it though. It's not really you have to go crazy with sharpening it. Okay, and then if you need help with sharpening it, though, let me know. But it's just important though. You don't want to overuse a sharpener, and you sharpen it to the point where it's like the small pencil, and it's like, oh, I got nothing else to work with. Okay, so varying the pressures. This was pretty simple though. You're just going to practice just varying the pressures of the colored pencil. So obviously I'm gonna go lighter with the part this is light. So not really any wrong way of coloring these areas in, and it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna lower the contrast a little bit. Okay, there we go. We can start seeing it a little bit more. So this one's gonna go light, and then you're gonna go a little bit, press a little bit harder on this part here, and then on the high though you'll press like the hardest of the hard. Okay, so you just want to kind of get into the practice that there are varying levels of how to shade with the colored pencils. And And obviously, like the hardest one though, you're gonna press this as hard as you can. So the one property with color pencils though is, once you kind of press it really hard on the paper, it's got like a waxy or shiny feel to it once you're done. So thing about color pencils compared to like regular pencils is you can't really erase color pencils. So just kind of be careful with how hard you press the values. But once you kind of get into practice of just like working on these varying levels of shading the areas, okay, and then keep it in the space. Okay, so that's pretty simple. That's varying your values. Okay, now moving on to cross hatching and hatching. Okay, if you want, you can do this with another color. I'll do this with the red here. So, same thing as before. I want you guys to just practice, just hatching and cross hatching. So, this one, you're going to go lighter. And you want to shade in like one direction. So I'm kind of going in this diagonal here. And hatching is when you do it in a single direction. So, you can go in this direction here. This can also go left, right, up, and down. It's up to you. I'm just going to do it at a diagonal. So the second one here, you're going to press a little bit more or add more lines to it to make it darker. So there's really two ways you can make it darker. Is you either can add more lines or press darker. Oh, and then another thing too, if you're getting some really bumpy textures on your table, I'm gonna leave your portfolios at your desks, but feel free to put something under your drawing, so that way you don't have like really weird textures going on with your drawing. So I have a pretty flat surface, like this grade table is like really flat, but you don't really want the surface to affect your drawings, or I mean it's okay for the practice if it does, but I'll probably remind you guys to just draw on top of your portfolios when we get to that part. So same idea though. I'm just doing it in one direction here. This one I'm gonna press a little bit harder. Okay, so you want to kind of get in this practice of going from like a lighter to darker value, just because we're going to be doing that a couple of times in your landscape drawing. So I'm going to do a different color here. So cross hatching, this is where you're going to shade in one direction. So I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to do it this left and right. So I'm going horizontal. And then I'm gonna go the opposite way, where I'm gonna go vertical. So it kind of creates like a little like fence kind of a texture to it. Okay, so same thing here. You just go a little bit darker, and then this a little bit darker over here. Okay, we kind of get the idea that you're gonna go from a light to a dark. All right. So shading. Find that color use. Okay, same idea though with the shading. You're going to press heavy here, and then you're going to go into a lighter value. So we've been doing a lot of like this kind of like light to dark, so we're going to practice going from dark to light. Okay, and try your best to keep it in like the shape though, but you want to color that all in. So you can go from dark to light. 3D sphere. So you guys have probably done this before. You're going to have one area be a light, top part be a dark. You can either do cross hatching, just normal shading. It's up to you. You do like the mix of the two. I always like doing a mix of the bunch. Okay, pretty simple though. This one right here. you're going to make it look three-dimensional with the shading. So I'm gonna go lighter in the middle here, and then it's gonna go darker on the edges. Okay, so you're probably gonna end up doing some shading though within your drawings itself. Maybe you want to kind of create that illusion of like creating shape and form with your things that you're drawing. Make it look 3D. So, okay, so that's shading. Stippling. Same idea. You're going to stippling technically is like doing dots, but for the stippling here though, I would just kind of do little curves, little dashes. So that way at least shows up when you actually do it. So this one takes more time though, but you're going to stipple a lot more. Okay, so you're going from a light to dark here. So same thing here, you're going to do two different colors. So I'm gonna do like a purple one side, go with the yellow here. So I'm gonna sharpen this yellow. Okay, and I'll obviously show you guys an example of like how it looks when you're finished with it. If I actually did like this whole video though, this would take forever. But you want to merge the purple and the yellow together in the middle. Okay, so you can merge those two together in the middle. Yeah, still think will take a while though because it's kind of hard to get like that texture. Layering. So with layering, this, I'm trying to remember what this one is. Oh, it's the different layers. So okay, kind of the same thing as varying the pressure. Okay, but you're gonna kind of keep it on the same pressure, no matter what you're doing. So this is obviously one layer of colored pencils. Okay, so I'm only just worrying about like one layer. This is two layers, so I'm pressing the same thing here. But this is like another way of adding making things look up here more darker. So this is the second layer here too. Okay, so that's two layers, and then this is one, and then two, and three. Okay, so it's kind of like the top one here, but this one's actually showing you like, oh, this is like what happens if you layer it. It obviously gets darker the more you layer it. This one's two colors. So now when you do two different colors though, I definitely would use the color wheel. Okay, go with colors that are like next to each other. So you can do like a green to a yellow, yellow orange, red to a purple, purple blue. Those color combinations look better if you do that. So I'm gonna do purple here. You can feel free to use any of the techniques. I'm gonna use cross hatching. So one is purple. And then this one I'm going to do is green. Okay, so part of it is you're just experimenting, seeing how different color combinations look. And then eventually you're going to start kind of using like all the different techniques, the cross-hatching, stippling. There's going to be like different examples of like where you can use those. But you get some really neat looking colors though if you mix them together. This one's just experimenting with mixing different colors, and then the blending one's kind of my favorite though. This is where you use like different combination of colors. So I can do like a yellow, orange. Try to look for a red here. sharpen this orange a little bit. Okay, so with the blending though, I definitely would go with you know, go from like a light light to a dark dark. Okay, so you should be pretty comfortable with like the layering, the hatching, varying the pressures at this point now, because blending is probably like the most advanced thing you can do with like the color pencils. Okay, so I'm going with the orange and then the red here. And if you're wondering how I pick my colors, I just picked the colors on the color wheel here. So I just chose these colors from the color wheel. Now, there are some really odd colors, like there's like a neon yellow, there's like a pink color, there's like a neon orange. So pink's like a variation of like a red. If you have like a turquoise or a blue, you know, obviously that's a blue. So you know, you can use like similar colors from the same color family. You know, just kind of keep in mind if it's like a lighter yellow or a darker orange, you know, it would kind of fall in that area. Okay, but you know, the trick to blending the colors though is, you know, definitely you're trying to like layer the colors. So obviously this red's gonna be like, you know, a little more of a darker red. I would always go a little bit lighter with like the lighter colors. So you know, red is a little bit darker than the orange, but the trick is though you want to mix or you know press a little bit harder on like with the lighter colors. So like this orange or red though, I'm pressing a little bit harder with the orange. But you know, you're gonna use a technique called burnishing, where you know you're basically going to you know draw as hard as you can on the paper. You don't have to do super hard, but it's basically just getting rid of the little white speckles of the drawing. All right, so you're getting rid of like the white speckles. So when you burnish it though, you're basically kind of rubbing the pencils to get rid of the white space. And then you want to, you know, burnish it with the lighter color. So like the yellow is lighter than orange, so I'm gonna press harder on the orange here. But basically, it's just like allowing you to, you know, kind of move the pigment around. Okay, but that's basically how I do like the whole worksheet. You know, I'm gonna show you an example of one where it's like completely done, but that's kind of like the gist on how to do all the different sections.